Right, good morning. So we're up to Siman Reish Ayin Tes Halacha Gimel. We're going through the halachas of Tiltul Ner B'Shabbos, of touching, moving a candle, a flame, a lamp on Shabbos. Says the Mechaber Sif Gimel, L'taltel Ner Al Yidei Shenoisen Lov Lechem, to move a candle, a Ner Al Yidei Shenoisen Lov Lechem B'Shabbos, because and you can put some lechem on the actual lamp, is also. V'im nosen olav halechem mibayjim. But if you put it on before Shabbos, then yesh mi shemata l'taltel b'Shabbos aladei lechem zeh ve'ein lismeich olav. Okay, so let's see the Mishnah Berurah for details. Also, says Mishnah Berurah Sivkot Tes Hatam. The reason is that you're putting a piece of bread, a challah or something, on top of the lamp during Shabbos. Hatam da mikol mokum kvais katzoy ben hashmoshes, because you missed the critical cutoff time. Dahainu ben hashmoshes. Because at that moment in time, the bread was not on it. And therefore, you didn't have the bread on at the right time, so it's too late to put the bread on later, as you missed it. So when would it work? Maybe it would work if you put it on before Shabbos, but that's only if the lechem is more choshev, is more valuable than the shemen. It's interesting. He writes in note 13 that previously, in Reish Ayin Zayin, he says lechem yeh choshev yosem min hashalheves. Hashalheves. There he talks about the flame. Here he's talking about the shemen. A bit of a stir in the Mishnah Berurah. Okay, he doesn't address it.
But we said it's got nothing to do with the value.
Also, in the next notes, in 14, well, in case ad nimdedes chashivas hahetza b'yachas le'issa, how do you value it? The thing that's debated. That's what we spoke about. The poskim debate that. Okay, so again, let's go weiter. V'hu adin im meniach shad dov choshev lav dafka lechem. Even if you put something else of value, the ozomrinim kiven daner nase bosses le'issa duhu shemen uleheta duha shemen uleheta. V'heta choshev tfei, and the heta thing is considered more valuable, and therefore is a dover habosses, is a bosses the dover ozav amuta. V'lakach shari, k'meish kosov simin shin yud, u'mikol mokum sim ha'mechaber she'in lismech al zeh. However, the mechaber himself says you shouldn't rely on this v'atam to kim da manera ikas yosef b'shvil ha'shalheves. Since the end of the day, putting a sort of a bread on top of a lamp, and you know it's as to say that the lamp is now bosses for Dover Heta, it doesn't really work. He says because the whole, what is a lamp? A menorah, the ikas yos is bishpil hashalheves. Its main primary function is for the flame. Lochein nas is tomid tofel or boss islan hashalheves. It's always considered the bosses for shalheves as a bosses for that. For lola lechem, and not for bread or other things you happen to just put on top of it. And so therefore it doesn't really work. That's why the mechaber it says ein lismech olav. It's not a good idea. So again, just to summarize Sif Gimel, we said to put a lechem on top of the lamp during Shabbos, it doesn't work. Why? Because it's too late. You've got to put it there ben hashmoshes. And even if you put it there ben hashmoshes, ein lismech olav, because l'maisa it's very hard to say, as the Mishnah Berurah says, that this lamp is a bosses for the bread. Really is a bosses for the shalheves and for the shemen, and not for the bread, and therefore ein lismech olav. Don't get confused with what we spoke about previously. The hind of that was a tray. The tray is different. That's already but that will come out soon as well. Okay, Dalet im hisne me'erev Shabbos al nezeh she'italtelen m'sheyichbe. The person makes a tanai that there is such a concept. You make a tanai of any boidel mizeh, right? So im hisne, I'm not sort of refraining, I'm not holding back from usage of this over Shabbos. Im hisne me'erev Shabbos, if a person made a tanai on erev Shabbos, al nerezeh she'italtelen m'sheyichbe, that when this flame goes out, I'll be able to move the lamp. Mutar l'taltel achar she'kova. Then you're allowed to. Says the Ramah, v'yesh omrim d'lo mahani tanai, that a tanai does not help. V'chein noagin b'mdinas elu, and we are noig not to rely on this tanai. V'dina tanai ein lekaman simen tof reish lamed ches. V'noagin l'taltel adein Yehudi. We are, however, noiheg to move the thing by way of a non-Jewish person. V'ein b'zeh mishum issa amir l'nein Yehudi. Ha'il v'aminag kach ki'ilu hisne olav mitchila v'shari kein nearly. Because since the minhag is that the non-Jewish, the help or whatever, comes into the house and moves the candles or the lamp once it's extinguished, then it's as if you've made the t'nai, and that would be okay, certainly for Amir La'akum purposes. But for you to do it, to make a t'nai, that when this goes out, I will move it, that t'nai in terms of muksa will not really help you. Okay, says the Mishnah Berurah, Yud Aleph, Im Hisne, Mishum, the ner also le'kavos, because you made a t'nai, and the ner is going to extinguish at some point. Mishum hachi mahani be't'nai, that's why a t'nai maybe would help. Avol b'shah bosses l'dava osur, but when it comes to other bosses, any other base for a dava osur, after there is shown lo mahani t'nai lahasnus kashay salik hadava isa min habosses sheimuta l'shtamish v'ayin lekamesim tov kufyutches b'be'alacha. Otherwise, the t'nai generally is not going to help you. Okay, v'dinat t'nai ayin lekamon. That it came if we made it tonight before Ben Hashmashis Kumavu Hasham. Aval hacha eni yochel lema afilu l'dei rishona eni boidem mehaner ka Ben Hashmashis. He's not going to be able to make it tonight that any boidel I'm not going to be boidel ka Ben Hashmashis kumay hasam. The Ben Hashmashis who doilik al kein also the taltalei, because during Ben Hashmashis it's lit. And when it's lit, you can't move it. Umidivri hagra bebeurek the cost of the sphere rishona sphere like girsa harif shama beit taflamed mashma lecher de mahani gam kein by many beidel ki yodu ashit sarif sham. According to the shit of the rif, that it would work to say this t'nai. Okay, letaltal de Yehudi, but that's only for you to make the t'nai. We say that for us it doesn't work. The mechaber paskins it doesn't work, but to get the non-Jewish person to move it after the light has gone out, that would be okay. Says the Mishnah Berurah Yud Gimel, Hainu afilu me'ina tzorich lo, even if you don't really need it, the tzorich kufa m'koyim rak shlo yignav, or shlo yiposid, or it just won't get, just if there's got to be a reason. Havikilu hisnet, if you made the t'nai rot solema, the letatla deini Yehudi, you can move it by way of a non-Jewish person, metzarfina mezeh dei rishena damani t'nai, with metzaref amir la'akum, which itself is only a drabanan, with the concept that this t'nai works, and then you're okay. If you put some sort of lantern on the, also any sort of, I'll give you an example of the yahrzeit candle. And your plan is that it stays there the whole day, and it goes out. You can't say as if you made it tonight, because your plan was for it to be lit the whole day. It could be that even by way of a non-Jewish person, this yahrzeit candle should not be moved because your intention was it should be lit there the whole of Shabbos. And that's only that it should be stolen. But if you need it, the tzarech gufa yom, then for a non-Jewish person to remove it, that would certainly be allowed. Okay, ner sif cotton hay. Ner shedliku b'Shabbos lechaya or lechola. If a person lit a candle for a woman giving birth or for a choleh, v'yolda hachaya v'nisrapa hacholeh, and then now the lady's giving birth and the choleh has recovered, and therefore there's no need for this candle anymore. Mutar l'taltal cover. If it now goes out, the candle, you're allowed to move it. V'uadin l'madlik b'Shabbos b'shegig v'kava shemutar l'taltal. And so too, if you lit it b'shegig, then once it goes out, you're allowed to move it. Says the Mishnah Berurah, the ein muktzah lechatzi Shabbos, because we don't say there's something which is muktzah lechatzi Shabbos. The davkim im iskatzoi ben hashmashos shu b'tchilas knis Shabbos hu domrin diskatzoi lekul Shabbos aflachar shakova. But here, let's say in the middle of the night on Friday night, the choleh becomes ill, the lady goes into labor. You would light a candle for her, which you're allowed to do. Therefore, it was never muktzah ben hashmashos because it was done beheta later on. Or sorry, in this case it was hudluk me'erev Shabbos for choleh sheish b'sakana, for the chaya or for the choleh sheish b'sakana. Shari mutar b'tchilas haShabbos l'taltalei, because at ben hashmashos, I said it wrong just before, it's mutar l'taltalei, because let's say the choleh is unwell, and on erev Shabbos you light the candle, you're allowed to move this candle at ben hashmashos, so that because for the choleh, for the chaya, and therefore lo iskatzoi lekul Shabbos la'achar shenisrapa hacholeh. And therefore, after the choleh gets better, the lady has given birth. This it was never iskat soile kula Shabbos, and therefore you can actually move it once the flame has actually gone out. The kolshkenim hudluk b'Shabbos gufa letzorechai v'choleh. Oh, that's what I was saying before. Certainly, if it was lit on Shabbos, that's even better. To lo hayodoilik klal ben hashmashos bevada leiskat soile kula yoma. Fine. Okay, so therefore, whether the candle was lit for the choleh or the chaya on Shabbos or before Shabbos, once the candle's gone out, then you're able to move it. L'taltlem kava, says the Mishnah Berurah Tezayin, hainu davka l'tzorech kufa mekoymeh, v'lo adifa mishar kli shemelachta le'isa. Fine. V'hu adin ha'kol mitam anal de'in muktzeh lechatzi Shabbos, because there's no concept of muktzeh lechatzi Shabbos, sheyasa af acha shekova. B'sheigeg, nokat b'sheigeg, because the truth is, the lo ayri b'rishim, we're not talking about Rishayim. Or the MS afilu hidliku b'mezid gamkein. Even if a person lit it b'mezid, the same svara applies. Mutar l'tat la'acha shekova l'tzorech kufa l'mekoymeh havelo muktzeh l'metchilas knis Shabbos. If a guy lit a flame b'mezid on Shabbos, then at Bein Hashmoshes it was never muktzeh. So therefore, we never had this, this freeze time at Migud Iskatzole Ben Hashmoshes Iskatzole Kuli Yoma. So, but we just don't like talking about Rishayim. So he's Zafka said b'sheigeg. Okay, Sif Vov. Ner shelo liku ba'is Shabbos, ba'is Shabbos. Afilu hu shel cheres demois. A candelabra or a lantern which was not lit on that Shabbos. Afilu shel cheres demois. Afilu hu shel neft demasriach. Even if it was cheres, which becomes quite repulsive, or neft, which is like a kerosene of some sort of fuel, which is masriach, which gives a bad smell. Mutter letaltelei demukta machmas mius is mutter. Says the Mishnah Berurah, the afhu kli shemelachta leisa, mikol mokum letzorech kufa mutter u'mekoymeh is mutter, k'mei shekos b'siman shinches, sif gimel. Mutter hoil ve'ikateras kli olav, you're allowed to move it, v'chazi lechsuye b'mona, you can actually cover a kli with it. Good. Zayin. Menorah. Bein gadola ben katana, whether it's a large or a small menorah, im he shall prokim, if it's made up of parts, ein metaltal noisa, you're not allowed to move it. Why? The concern is it might fall, it might break into small parts, and you can put it back together again. And that is a problem on Shabbos. Even if it's not made of small bits, if there are grooves, also because of we're concerned, it's a shaila of boine. Says the Mishnah Berurah, afilu hi chadasha shleidliku b'me'olam. V'nimtza eisakli ayin betaz v'ayin lekam b'simen tov kufyutesiv base. V'im darken lios rafui, if it's quite loose, then shari k'moshe kosav b'simen shinus gimel sivov. That's in hilchas boine soiser and boine. V'ayin sham mashe kosav the Mishnah Berurah l'inin koser shel parakim. V'doim mishum de mechlev shel parakim, because it's you might confuse it with shel parakim. V'da the lefi hamispar b'siv zeh also the taltal nera shelanu shekerin leichta af sheled liku boy me'olam tavihem asuin shel parakim asher koz b'siv vov my benera shelo yasuin parakim. Okay, and the ma'isa our candelabra, our leichtas, we're not really worried about them. Some it's all one piece, so we're not really concerned about that.